Best podcast ever, boy.
Our guest today.
We're going international.
I can't wait. There's so much I love about this episode today, and we haven't even started yet.
Tell us about it, Molly.
Well, first of all, Nellie, the extraordinaire, who we refer to in every podcast, our producer, is in the house today.
You know, I love it when you talk about me.
Oh, you know I adore and love you. Nellie is in the house. Nellie is my guest co-host.
Greetings.
Because our boy, Alex, decided to take a vacay, a 2-week vacay, mind you, and was skiing, and the snow did not approve of his skiing.
In retaliation, it damaged his collarbone, breaking it. He's sending around a fabulous X-ray,
Yes.
which I will be sure to post.
Absolutely, we will be posting that in the gown and all, with a thumbs up. Like, how did that picture happen? Hey, Doc, would you take a picture of me in my gown? And I'm going to do a thumbs up.
I'm sure part of it was the Percocet, and part of it was the excitement that his doctors were fish heads.
Oh, yeah.
They were also
true.
fish fans.
Are you a fish fan?
I'm not. No,
Good.
actually.
Okay, good. So Matt can stay.
Yeah.
Here's the after X-ray after
Yes.
they sort of
Yes.
deal
and we are going to
stitches.
put that up for sure.
Everyone will get
And you
to
know
see
what?
it.
A nice crash sound would be great right about now. So welcome, Nellie.
Thank
you
you.
for all you do behind the scenes. We appreciate you.
I love my job.
We love you. Well, you know what? There's no time for chit chat today because I just need to die. First of all, our guest today is in London, living in London, from Chagrin Falls. I met Matt years and years and years ago. He's so old. You are, though.
Looks great
I'm
for his
getting there,
age.
yeah.
Old. He does look great. And I think the fact that what his shirt says, which is live a great story, is going
Ooh.
to just be perfect for today's lesson. We're going to learn a lot of lessons.
I hope it
today.
showed up in the selfie.
I hope so. If not, we'll take another
Yeah,
one.
we should take it. I think I had my sweater on, so
Ugh.
we'll have
So-
to retake it.
Tell us who you are. Who is Matt Trinetti? We have Matt Trinetti.
Who's the guest?
It's Matt Trinetti.
Okay.
Yes. So Matt, born and raised in Chagrin Falls. Are you a lifer?
I was born in Lyndhurst,
Okay.
Ohio, so northeastern Ohio, Lightford. But I was born in Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital.
Born and raised in Chagrin. A very, very. I mean, your family was the typical. At least from my eyes, looking into when I peeked in the windows at your house.
So that was you. Okay.
Yeah.
Mystery
without-
solved after all these
Yeah,
years.
Yes. Very normal life. Your dad worked. I'm not quite sure about your mother, but she was the great housewife, and there were two of you.
There's 3 of us kids. My
Girl.
Leah's
Okay.
my sister. She's 3 years younger, and my brother Christopher's 8 years younger.
Okay.
And my mom, parents both worked. My mom was a dental hygienist,
Okay.
and my dad is an entrepreneur. He started his own business about 30. I think it was around the same year I was born, so about 30 some odd years ago.
So
business.
graduated Chagrin, off to college, like pretty much 99.9% of the students here in.
Yeah.
Well, if you ask Chagrin, it's 100%, but 99.9% of the kids in Chagrin, you go off to college. Yes.
No questions really.
Right?
It wasn't even the question never even entered my head. I don't know what I wanted to be. I just knew I was good at math and science, and so kind of the direction I was encouraged to go in was engineering. Good background, probably get a good job out of that, and might as well move toward where my natural inclinations were.
And you did.
And I did. Yeah. I looked at, it was either Ohio State or Georgia Tech. And Ohio State was good, but also Georgia Tech, I remember visiting, and it just was, I think it was something about being in a new city, being in a city. So, Georgia Tech's right in the heart of it. And it's one of the best engineering schools in the country. So, kind of those two things.
So you didn't have a destination, you were just going to figure it out as you go, starting with the math skill and see where that takes you.
I never understood how people know what they want to do. Like, we were talking, like, I feel like 99% of the people in the world either don't know what they want or pretend like they know what they want, or are just wanting what they think they want because that's what other people around them are doing or their parents want.
Were you a football player? Were you in the band? Were you in theater? Like, what was your...
I kind of did it all. So I played... First time I ever played football was freshman year. I decided somewhere between 8th and 9th grade that I wanted to play football. And then I was into music, so I played the violin. I was first chair in my senior year. I wanted to quit violin like as soon as I entered high school and all the way throughout, but I kind of stuck with it. I was actually, my senior year, I was in Fiddler on the Roof. That was the musical, and I was the fiddler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
Sam
the
was in
lead
that,
right
yeah?
there. Oh, no, it's not the lead.
Well,
it's the titular character, though.
Yeah, the musical began, and I'm there playing.
It's a very symbolic role, I think. Right?
Yes. Oh, that's awesome, because according to Alex Kurtzberg, he would have said that when you came over here from Russia, that was Jazz Singer and Fiddler on the Roof, I think, were the two. Did he say that?
That's like the Bible of our family,
yes,
really.
Yes, two shows you had to watch.
Well, and I married someone that wasn't Jewish, and we watched that before our wedding, and I was like, just so you know, like, this is what you're marrying into. This will describe our history a lot, our ancestry. You understand it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So then into college, no more football, no more violin.
Yeah, no more football. Yeah, and actually, I did play a little bit of violin.
Yeah, now's a great time for a violin.
Yeah.
And in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so dived into math.
It's
played that role the whole college.
Yeah, pretty much. I got involved with other stuff, but yeah.
Something that I was wondering as we go into this, and I'm wondering how, as your story unfolds on the podcast, maybe we'll see how events from your past feed into future events, and how the past created the present.
Yeah.
So somehow that's all connected. Maybe the violin and the math. It's all somewhat connected.
Yeah.
We'll
So we
uncover it.
graduated from college.
Yeah.
That's good. We had fun and we graduated. We graduated with a...
Yeah, I graduated in Industrial and Systems Engineering, which is basically because there's no really business major. There was a business major there, but as far as the engineerings go, industrial was the closest thing to business. So in high school, I started a company with some friends.
Yes.
Mulch movers.
Yes.
Which still goes on today.
You were the starter of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we related to my dad encouraged us, because this was in his industry, to start a mulch spreading business where you just spread mulch. And so I rallied together a few friends, and eventually there were 6 of us. We started something called the Chagrin Falls Mulch Movers. And our spring and summer, we would go put flyers around, and we'd do these projects. And basically, you had to hang out with your friends in the sun, make probably more money than you would by working at a cafe.
Is that in high demand?
It actually is. We were really busy.
And then you hand it off.
Then so we did that for 3 years. Even our freshman year of college, we did it, and even sophomore year, some people did. I started doing an internship, so I didn't. But and then we kind of hand it off every year, and so it's been about 15 years now.
Started a legacy.
And it's like what are those, like alumni games or something, when like the old folks come back and like the old timey baseball.
You need to wait till you're like 50, where your bellies are hanging out, and then that'd be fine.
Is there a Chagrin Falls High School? Is there where you graduated from? There must be a Hall of Fame, or just a Chagrin Falls Hall of Fame. You would know.
There is a Hall of Fame, an alumni Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe nominations coming up.
Yeah.
Who started the Mulch Movers? years.
Yeah.
We'll work on that. It'll be our campaign. It'll be our campaign. So graduated from college.
So I started interviewing, and I ended up getting an offer from IBM. It's a consultant. So management, IT consulting. I didn't really know what that meant, but a lot of travel. It was really fascinating, challenging, exciting. I was living in Atlanta, and then after a year I moved to Chicago. But I kept with IBM because all you need is we travel every week onto the project site, onto the client site. So it didn't matter where you lived. You could pick from like 25 cities in the U.S. And as long as there was an airport, we're golden. So
you picked Chicago.
I picked Chicago. There's a few friends that we had all together. We were kind of scattered, and we're like, oh, let's all move to Chicago. So, yeah, you get a year, 2 years in, you're like, okay, like this is the working world. Not quite like I thought it would be, like, and then each month, each year, you kind of question it a little bit more. Sure, I'm working on interesting projects, but like, what does this all really mean? Like, what am I adding to the world?
But you were still traveling. I would think that there's something fulfilling in that.
Yeah, there definitely was. I kind of felt like a bit of a rock star, if I'm honest. Like it was really unsexy when you really drill into it. But like, I'd be staying in these hotels 4 nights a week. I'd be flying across the country twice a week, rack up all these hotel miles and get status at the hotels and the airlines. It kind of becomes a game that then becomes harder to lead.
I was going to say, would that have then wanted you to give me more? Like I want more of this.
Yeah, I don't know if I wanted more of that. It was really nice. Like the perks and were all really great. But I started to look at people who were 10, 15, 20 years above me, and the conversations that they were having, and it being about points, and it's like half of the conversations are about trying to maximize your travel points and all this stuff. I'm like, something missing. And yes.
And what threw you over the edge to say,
yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I do not want to.
Yeah. Well, I'd be doing a bunch of stuff. So I started reading. I never actually read that much, and even in high school, I was terrible in English, like, to be honest, and reading and writing.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask, which is, maybe because you're a writer, that's part of your title, if there is one book that you think should be like required reading, that's a hard question. Maybe not one book, but you do.
Well, I do right now. Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
I read it a couple years ago. I just reread it again this year. It's kind of, I imagine it's one of those things, and that gave me an insight into Joseph Campbell and his body of work. He was putting context and calling things by name that I was experiencing, but I, number one, didn't know it was natural, and number two, didn't have like a
Your collective unconscious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of sent me down a whole path. So I think Joseph Campbell, and I like Power of Myth because that's an interview with him, PBS interview put into text. That would be it right now.
Okay, back to the story.
Yes. So.
I don't know what a sound effect would be to get us back on track. Maybe like a zoom of some sort. Let's get back on track.
When Cher slaps the guy in his truck and tells him to snap out of it, maybe that could be cool. We need to get back to...
You're going to have to watch that to find out what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, you just have to Google Cher slap.
Fortunately, this is recorded, so I don't have to write myself a note to remember.
It is true.
Where were we? You were starting to write.
I'm still at IBM.
Right.
I started to read a bunch of books. I'd actually had a book club in Chicago where it'd be my 2 roommates and then eventually it'd be 8 guys sitting around talking about a book, but really we were talking about life. We'd use the book as the vehicle into what do we actually want out of life and what's missing. And these conversations that I was having in my own head, we'd start to have it around a table at a bar or in a living room. So I was doing that. I was following blogs, watching TED Talks, kind of like searching. And I had I had studied abroad at Georgia Tech in France this summer. And
That's also something I think should be required. I studied abroad in Australia, but life-changing experience.
Yeah, and even I wish I did it earlier high school or something. But that was my first time in Europe. Yeah, it was my first time outside of North America.
You went to France?
France, and then because it was our first time in Europe, just every weekend we would just go as far. Where can we go this weekend? Prague, okay, Rome.
It's easy to do that in Europe.
Yeah, take the train and just go.
Can you convince Molly to fly anywhere?
Should I fly and read a book?
Maybe this
Oh,
whole
wow.
interview
Oh,
will do it.
actually-
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, okay, we'll get back to that.
All right.
We have something
see if I
coming
can-
up that may motivate her to go to
See
Italy.
if I can get on that page.
I'll try to fast forward. But yeah,
Fast forward. We'll cut it
Yeah.
out where we need to.
okay. So I wasn't really making any true actions. I was kind of like getting ready to get ready for something. And one of the things I knew, so that study abroad really opened my eyes to the world. What's it like to live in Athens? What's it like to live in Peru?
See it from the inside.
Yeah, see it from the inside, go to the market. Like, just this was this fantasy I had, and I didn't know. I knew I was seeking something. I knew what I was doing wasn't fulfilling a lot for me. I didn't know what to do instead, but all I knew was I had this unrealized dream kind of bubbled up to the surface.
Did you know you were going to Iceland for sure? Did you narrow it down to a couple destinations and settled on Iceland, or was it always Iceland's where I'm going? That's it. Period.
It was.
The cheapest flight when
It
you
was
have
a
the computer.
That's exactly what it was.
Really?
It was the cheapest. I was like, okay, well, I want to see the whole world. I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that right now. It's how do you eat an elephant bite by bite? I'm like, okay, well, pick a continent at least. Okay. Well, I've been to Europe, but there's so much of Europe that I haven't seen. Europe. I would just search for the cheapest flight I could find. Any city in the U.S. to any city in Europe. I really didn't care because I knew if I could get to Europe, I could find cheap bus or flights or whatever.
I always prefer making decisions that way and just leaving it up to fate. I feel
Yeah.
like it takes a lot of the responsibility off me.
Yeah.
Like, whatever's meant to be, if I decided I'm going on the cheapest flight, we'll just see where that ends up. And then if it's awful, it's not my fault. It's just the universe saying this is where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
So, good on
It
you.
was $300 one way from New York.
You got a one-way ticket. Did you think you were coming back?
I mean, eventually, I knew I'd come back. So I intended to quit, and so I booked the ticket first. I didn't quit or whatever. I was like, book the ticket first. I'll figure it out. That was 6 months. I was going to quit, and then somewhere in between, I realized, well, why don't I just ask for time off? Like, when you have nothing to lose. Worst case scenarios, they say no, be like, okay, well, I really want to do this thing. So best case scenario is you can negotiate it. You can have a
Right.
conversation about it. And so I noticed there was a time in consulting project work. I was rolling off a project. Projects were a little dry going forward. So I'm like, okay, well, you make a business case for this first. Say, hey, I'll volunteer to take myself off cost. Plus, I want to do this thing I've always wanted to do. And it was great. It was a conversation, and it was a scary one that I thought would be scary, but it was not so much that way. It's say, okay, it's basically we're keeping the door open, but there's always the risk that the needs of the business will evolve, and also I may say I don't want to go back. So it's kind of it wasn't like you're going to have this exact job. You'll just say, okay, well, you're still employed by IBM. You're still on, it wasn't on payroll, but I still had insurance.
You weren't completely reckless walking away.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Kept
it
your
was
bridges intact.
a smart. Yeah, if I was truly going from the heart, I would have been like, the next week I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I wish I had that.
Screw your 2-week notice.
Okay, so
know.
I want to ask probably what boy we would all love to just.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, money. Did you have enough saved up? You said you had health insurance.
So money, two things. I did have some saved up because I'm just kind of frugal by nature, and I was always saving. I don't know what I was saving for, but I was like, I'm just saving for kind of
Interesting.
I was spending less than I was earning. And so I kind of had a little buffer. But then as soon as I booked that one-way ticket, I became laser focused. I'm like, okay, here's my goal. And if I want to give myself X amount of months, I want to save up this much more. So for those next 5-6 months, anything that wasn't core to that goal, that dream, it dissolved. I canceled my gym membership. I stopped going out, or I went out less. And because I'm like, okay, I can go out tonight and spend $100, or that's like 5 nights in.
Your math background.
Yeah, Czechoslovakia or something. So
Well done.
yeah,
So take some discipline.
yeah, but
A
once,
lot.
and I think the thing I learned there was a deadline and a specific goal. All of a sudden, everything else that dissolves around that. It's not moving toward that goal. Then you have an excuse. You're like, oh, I'm not going out. I'm saving. Yeah, so that was money. And then the thing I learned is that we think of travel. Travel, the way that we think of it, is these expensive holidays. These resorts. So of course you can't do that for 7 months, but you can travel pretty cheaply if you're willing to be a little gritty about it. And so I stayed mostly in hostels or couch surfing, or friends I'd meet on the road and I'd crash with them. A lot of buses, cheap flights, hitchhiking. So it was pretty.
Did you work along the way at places to earn money, or did
I
your money
didn't.
last?
My money lasted me. I did work, but this goes into the other thing I was trying to do was I used this time as like an open canvas for me. Like, okay, I don't know what I want to do. I know I don't want to do this. So how can I give myself just time and space to explore stuff? So I was exploring physically, but I was also exploring writing and photography and videography and how do I build a website, and reading a bunch of books. So I was kind of gave myself space to just explore. So that was my work. It wasn't paid work, but it was kind of working on my. I like to frame it to say I switched to working on my life or in my life instead of on my life instead of in my life.
Right.
So I was working on it. So what?
You traveled 7 months.
Yeah. So it was about just.
And then went back.
Yeah, first of the year, back.
So you were in Iceland for 7 months.
No, so I went to Iceland. Ended up being there for about 2.5 weeks.
Well, let me jump in because you gave a TED Talk,
Yeah.
which I watched. And in that TED Talk, you describe all these different stops that you make along the way, which I would direct our listeners to listen to. And I wonder if somewhere in that journey you realized that you had a destination, because there's a lot of sort of wandering and just we'll see what the next place is when I get to the next place. So I may have jumped topics a little because that's Iceland, traveling Europe, stopping in lots of different places, coming back to IBM. And then is that where the story for the mother comes in?
Oh, no, I wanted to know what Mom thought when
Did we get an answer on that?
My job,
Yeah.
my secure job, and I'm headed for 7 months
Yeah.
to just go
That'd be hard for my
travel
mom.
the world.
Yeah, I think there was caution, but support too. But I think what became difficult was like, okay, here's get it out of your system kind of thing.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, actually, this is setting me on a new course, and those next years actually
So
were
you're saying we
more
came back
challenging than.
and then realized
Yeah.
she maybe thought you were going and coming back, and he'd get
Yeah.
out of your system.
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Yeah. Right. So
But
that's
at some point she must have realized this is where he's going, this is what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, I think it's So that's.
And what is it that you've been doing? Let's get to the present day.
What the hell am I
that was
doing
a whole
now?
lot of
Oh,
background.
yeah. How did I
That's
end
it,
up in
folks.
London?
We'll see y'all later.
All right, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to reflect on that. So since then, I mean, it was a lot more wandering. 2013, I started a book publishing thing with my friend. So I convinced 2 friends to come to Iceland with me on that trip for the 2-3 weeks. One of them is a writer, and he ended up writing a book about our trip to Iceland called Tales of Iceland. And at the end of the very last day in Iceland, I still was employed by IBM, all this stuff. He's like, man, I should write a book about our trip. I'm like, yeah, do it. I'll publish it. And so he ended up writing it, and he sent me the manuscript. I was like, oh, shit, I have to publish this thing now. So when I quit IBM, that was my project. So for 3 months, I'm like, okay, how do I publish a book?
Because you had to just learn from scratch. You didn't have any information starting. You just had to say, without knowing anything, I have to figure out how to publish?
So I knew he had a book traditionally published in the past. I really liked, he was a really good writer. And I'm like, okay, if he can write it, I know he can write a good book. I think I can publish it, and I think I might be good at selling and marketing it. So this was an experiment. I did that, and then we ended up going to Ecuador. We're like, oh, this is fun. Let's do a whole series of these books. Then eventually, I went to London to ex-management consulting. They started a blog, online jobs board, basically helping people. We were about the same stuff. They looked around at their friends. They're like, this is such a waste of talent and energy of these really motivated, smart people spending time doing God knows what, pushing shit around in spreadsheets. Like, why don't we do stuff that matters? So they started a movement. I came on. I gave a couple talks. I started writing for them, and then I came on to help launch a school in London.
That's the Escape School?
Yeah, the Escape School. And so we did talks there and courses, and now we do. Long story short, I mean, it turns out you inject with some of the best things from some of the best books and podcasts and thought leadership and science and all this stuff to help people make change. And then you do small steps, but kind of close the gap between who you are and what you do. And that when that gap is really wide, that's the biggest amount of discontent, where I'm a lawyer, or I'm a banker, but the work I'm doing, it feels so far from who I authentically am, and what I actually want, and actually I don't even know what I want because I've been so. We've kind of been trying this out as we go, and we do have a psychologist.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm sure there's some heavy crap that
that
comes out when you're digging down deep in
Facing
there.
fears?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, well, we kind of learned that the hard way. We would bring on career coaches and psychologists, and philosophers, and futurists, and authors, adventurers, and people to kind of help with this. And I've been they're called tribes basically in these programs, and they're tribe leaders. So I've been a leader for the tribes we have there, and quickly I'm like,
It's a 3-month.
they're 3-month part
group.
time. So we meet up. There's 5 weekends, and every Tuesday night.
I'm wondering what the process is for the people that join. Are they most of them successful in terms of finding where they want to go, or is it just being part of this group is fulfilling enough?
Yeah, I think so what the reality of, and we kind of say this at the beginning, of people have ambitions. Like at the end of the 3 months, I'm gonna, everything's gonna change, and I'm gonna be earning the same amount I was, but doing something I love. That rarely happens. This is like a multi-year journey. Some people are entering it at the beginning of that. Some people are entering it kind of toward the end. They've been doing all this stuff, and it's this idea of the group coming together. There's guidance and individual stuff, and everyone's journey is personal. So it has been a little difficult to say, okay, at the end of these 3 months you're going to, because it's so people set their own intentions, but what do you want to get out of these 3 months? And try to be realistic with it. But really, we see it as kind of more of a movement, and we're trying to shift the system itself to say this isn't just you have a problem because you're unfulfilled in your work. This is actually societal and cultural.
I'm just wondering, are the careers or changes that people are looking for, do you have examples? Are they really exotic and strange? Is it something that they need help discovering? I want to go be a ship cruise master. I don't know, something that they wouldn't normally.
Yeah.
A clown. I don't know, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what kind of paths are they looking for? Is it something unusual, or is it just the courage to make a change into another?
I think it's that. It's a few things. It's the courage to make a change. I think a lot of people, in general, want to just be live life on their own terms, whatever that means. And so it's what you were talking about, your definition of amazing. It's kind of redefining success. Like, what is success? Instead of just assuming, okay, this is success, but what is actually success to you? A lot of time it has to do with time. How do you spend your time? And see a lot of people who are entrepreneurially curious, and increasingly, this isn't just about me or us personally as individuals, like the world of work is rapidly shifted, and we're just trying to find our footing. Everyone, okay, what does this mean when, wait, you don't have jobs for life anymore, and more people are going to be freelancers and all this stuff. So we're also trying to navigate the world of work.
You stick with business? Because I would assume in your quest, you're diving into personal as well. So you might have someone who thinks they're not happy with their job, but once they investigate it, it's their spouse they're not happy with, or their girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happens when you're all together and someone says, "Crap, I don't like my wife anymore. That's really, I love my job," but because that has to come when you're digging.
Yeah.
Not that it has to come, but
it often does come.
Exactly.
Rediscovering yourself.
That's exactly. We have these things called open mics, and the stuff that comes up there, it's not about work, it's not about jobs, it's about really serious, deeply personal stuff. And that's when you realize, when you scratch the surface, we think we're all discontent at work, because I think that's work is this like, jobs and work is this like altar that we're all praying to.
It's also how people hide.
Yeah.
Because it's okay to be unhappy at work. Like, that's acceptable. Yeah, I hate my job. Oh, I hate my job. And that's an acceptable thing to come and say, oh my gosh, I hate my family. And that's a whole nother. So I think that's why I'm thinking you probably just get, once you open it up.
Well, it's got to be therapeutic to share it with the group.
Absolutely.
Where it's kind of safe over there.
It's therapeutic.
Not saying it too.
It's also, it gets a little scary too, because you're like, okay, well, you're opening stuff up, and that's when it's like, oh God, like I'm not qualified to like deal with this, help people with this. And
so how do you, or how?
Yeah, so I've stepped away from the leader role. And we have people in there that are more like coaching skilled, like, and so they can help. And we're a lot better at safeguarding and saying, okay, if you're having a problem, here are some people to talk to, instead of just like, I don't know, like, we're all figuring this out.
I think Carl Rogers would be a big fan of yours if you're familiar with him. Psychologist from the 60s, really about being your authentic self, and that's how you help somebody. Started person-centered therapy, and just,
Carl Rogers.
I'm writing it down for you, because it sounds a lot like what you're doing, and just having these groups where people just had to be themselves and talk to each other as authentic people. And that was the most therapeutic thing to help people out.
I think that hits on kind of what I'm uncovering in my own journey, but also this, is that it's, this is deeper. Something's missing at a societal level, spiritually, whatever. What's filling this void of connection, and what does it mean to be human? What's it mean to be authentically this human?
Along your path, have you found anything to add to your bucket list? There's anything that's been on there?
It's like everywhere. I have more just creative pursuits. Also, kind of more stuff in nature and self-reliance. 10-day experience. Why would you do that?
I'm trying to be so politically kind right now. What would that hope to accomplish?
Yeah.
Politically kind.
Yeah.
I love you, Molly.
That's an oxymoron, isn't it?
Why the hell?
Yeah. I mean, can you medically, if you're at a starving point, do you get in touch with things that you wouldn't otherwise? Is that? I mean, really, I'm intrigued.
So
it's not going to happen. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I don't know. I think I get it, Molly, because I think it's about like stripping away whatever's been given to you and just finding out what's left once you walk away from like the conditioning and everything else. Like, it's getting down to what your essence is. Or am I wrong? And you should correct me.
That's my belief right now.
I think I would get it, but
I mean,
please.
humans have been we're natural beings, right? But we create these worlds that it's like there's nature and then there's us, and but we forgot that biologically, like we come from the same stuff of everything else, trees and rabbits and whatever. but we've really lost touch with that. And I don't think our biology has quite evolved beyond that. We look at all the problems that we might have, because our evolution takes a long, long, long time. But we've created technology, whatever, electronic technology, but everything that's creates these worlds that we're biologically trained for. Like, the fact that we have these phones and the computers and all these apps that
Did you have any of these?
No, it was completely.
What did you take with you?
It was it was with a group, so it wasn't like I'm just going to the middle of nowhere. Even though
Come find me in a week.
Yeah,
hiding behind a tree. If you said, "Okay, I've had enough,"
there were leaders.
They'll get you.
Yeah, I went on. It was an organized thing, and it was 10 of us and 4 guides.
And I choose the 9 people I'd like to meet.
Fortunately,
Then
no.
maybe I'd go.
And this, I guess it leads to Joseph Campbell's stuff. Is you have to walk your own path, and while you do it as a group, you go into it. You enter the forest in your own unique place, and you can't go on this journey with other people. Other people can share in the experience, but to go follow our own path.
So, as our listeners will learn with our selfie, Matt, a little easy on the eyes. Which
Glad I came here to be flattered.
That is my.
This is nice.
That is myself. I can appreciate beauty. I'm doing my own little thing here. I'm appreciating the beauty inside of Matthew, which is a lot, which you will learn in a selfie. So, with that being said, 5 years ago, Matt, in 2011, look at his eyes.
I don't even know. What
Freaked
you're gonna say.
out. It's not that big. In 2011, your dating status, your answer was happily single.
Well,
in
5 years ago,
2011.
that's in your 20s.
I mean, he could have met a squirrel in the
People
woods.
could be happily single. Oh, that's true.
So I have a girlfriend in London.
Oh, sorry, lady.
Oh, sure. In London, like in Canada.
Pen pal?
Oh.
All right. Serious? How many?
How did that? How did you go back to 2011? What?
I dug deep.
Very
I
good.
dug deep.
I have a
We
couple
can't
other
disclose
coming
our
up. Yes.
sources.
Wow.
Yes. I just love the happy.
I'll tell you later.
Oh, it's
If you want
fine.
to take it off the internet.
No, it's I don't.
Yeah.
mind.
So you're happily connected with
I was-
somebody.
We worked together. So
Okay.
Which is how we met. And I find that a lot of people I work with and surround myself with there, we have a similar mentality.
Should we move to the lightning round, or do you want to ask anything else?
Just really quick on that 3-day retreat. And
I had
did
one in
So
July.
you need to change it.
April
It says
2017. No?
Oh shoot! I think I did agree to that one. Yeah.
Well, now you know.
All right, folks.
Yeah, Umbria, Italy,
Yes.
which is
Yes,
beautiful.
escape.
It's this old
So who's
farmhouse.
allowed to go on the retreat?
The idea is to do like a kind of a weekend escape thing, so an espresso shot of stuff you might do on a tribe. But really start to just set some intentions, remove yourself from the city, whatever city that is for you, on the Italian countryside, in a refurbished farm, animals, and really just be in a new place. And yeah, start to kind of imagine what you want to do and what are the things stopping you.
Is there anyone that's not appropriate for?
If you know exactly what you want to do and are like doing it, like I'd say.
No interest in growth or change?
Yeah, if you have no interest.
I think just flying there
Or
would be enough.
not wanting?
I wouldn't even have to do the retreat. If I flew to Italy, I think it.
Would you fly back, though?
No.
Yeah,
That's the
probably
problem.
not.
That's the problem. I'm going to fly there. I'm going to spend 3 days throwing up because I'm freaking out about flying back. So what fun is that?
Then you'll get over the jet lag and you'll enjoy it.
What is it about? Yeah.
Flying.
Okay.
Flying and just falling down all that way and having a lot of time to think.
'Cause it's so high up.
Yeah. And really, if you just take a plane, and my daughter's heard this a billion times, if you just take the plane, you take the side off of the plane, it's just a whole bunch of people sitting up in the air. And that doesn't
You
seem
wouldn't
right.
do a hot air balloon either, I take
I would
it.
do a hot air
You
balloon.
would. Yeah.
Here's what I think it is. If you really, here is
Yeah.
my my woods water only theory on it. I'm a control freak, and I don't know how to fly a plane. So I feel that if I took flying lessons, I wouldn't be able to save the plane if it were going down, but in my head, I would think I would at least be able to do something to save that plane.
I don't think
And
I
that
want to
might
sit on your
be-
plane.
Well, it might make me feel a little more comfortable to get on the plane. That I could have some control over. It's all a control freak.
Interesting.
Oh, I'm a total.
You just need a good co-pilot.
I took 4 Valium on my head.
Aw, it's romantic.
And it was pre 9/11. I think I said this on pre 9/11. I went into the cockpit. Did you have a fight with your girlfriend last night? Did you get enough sleep? Are you drinking? Did you drink last night? All these questions to the pilot. I was happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though statistically.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else to
Lightning
cover?
round.
Lightning round. I've employed the gong noise for our lightning round. Is that okay? What do you
That's
think
great.
about that?
It's much better than a machine gun. Yeah. Anti that.
Well, that's because it was originally the rapid fire,
Yes,
is what it was
yes,
called.
yes.
So I thought rapid fire machine gun.
I
But
got
you're
it.
right, it's insensitive.
It was just. I think it was the day after Ohio State.
Sorry about that.
Everyone's,
Yeah. Although
Yeah,
it was a
so they
nice
hear it
day,
and-
but-
Whereas a gong is more like meditative, brings
Yeah.
us to the present.
I like it. I
like a boxing.
More lightning round questions?
Yes. My lightning round question is there a mother figure or an influential woman?
To be honest, my sister, seeing her love and patience, how she was kind of a rock for everyone there, his family.
There's one other lightning round question I'll ask on behalf of Alex. He likes to ask if you have any limiting beliefs and how you overcome them. I'll tell you what I think you might say, or what I'm hoping you say, because there's also
True Alex fashion.
a video, I think on YouTube, that you made in Croatia, where you were trying to interview people, and a lot of them rejected you, or maybe you edited it to look like you were getting rejected a lot. And I feel like that would be so discouraging, and at that point, I would have just given up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would have come to mind for you when you're asked about any limiting beliefs or self-limiting beliefs, or however else you would ask it.
No, that's a good one.
Maybe there's a different way to answer it.
No, I think the thing about limiting beliefs is some of them you're aware of, some of them you probably aren't. So I beat myself up a lot. Like, I'm never not quite there. Yeah, something around that. And maybe even not the rejection video. That was actually, so I think that was part of it. I realized that was something I wanted to do. Challenge myself, that maybe I wasn't putting myself out there enough to get rejected. Like I should. A lot of stuff I've kind of looked at. I've achieved a lot, but maybe it's because I've just been going after stuff I know I can achieve.
Oh, wow. Could you imagine Matt Trinetti without that barrier?
I'm scared.
I'm scared too. In a good way.
No, the whole world would be brighter.
Oh, better.
It's already brighter.
Well,
Here's
just
because
obviously, I think Alex, I talk about his romance all the time with other individuals.
Oh, he would love
Totally
Matt.
crush on Matt. So what we have to do is Matt will be our first returnee podcast guest.
That's
Big
true.
commitment.
Yes.
Wow,
Or
that's
we'll
a
have a
bold statement.
reunion show or something.
Yes.
All the guests,
Yeah. No,
round
just you.
table.
Because there's so much more, and I feel like even when the next one will be, I can't wait to see what is in between today.
Just listening to
and that
this,
day.
he'll have a lot of questions
for
saved
sure.
up, I'm sure.
For sure. So, will you come back?
Yeah, we can have
want.
listeners ask questions.
I love it.
This is a great idea.
Because you do come back.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Well, your
So
mom
do you have
is
your
here, right?
17,
Yeah, my parents are.
Other than in April when you didn't realize you're going to Italy, which we've now shared with you.
Going. Yeah.
Are you going to be around in 17? That you
Yeah.
know of?
I don't know. I'm kind of
You
a
fly
month
by
by
the
month.
seat of the pants type of guy.
Molly, your
So-
stalking isn't very subtle at all.
I'm pressuring you. I want you back, Matt Trinetti.
You are all over the internet. You write a blog. you're a writer. You write a lot. You post on a lot of different pages: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Where would you send someone that wants to connect with you or learn more about you? Is there the best place to start?
Yeah, I would say my blog, GiveLiveExplore.com.
We'll post the link.
Yeah, that's kind of the home of all my writing. And and Twitter is good, at Trinetti. That's my thing. And yeah, I have a mailing list, so if people go to GiveLiveExplore.
It's at Trinetti, not Matt Trinetti without the M.
I like that.
Is it? It's just really at Trinetti. Sorry. And then what else?
I have a mailing list on GiveLiveExplore. And I've actually just compiled this morning my 5 most popular articles. So if people subscribe, they'll get a perfect copy of that. So it's kind of, 5 most popular articles on traveling, working, living, delivering.
Amazing interview.
Amazing interview.
Not just because I'm here.
It was because you're here.
Well, no, I think it's an amazing guest.
Amazing guest, amazing co-host, amazing audience member.
Great job, audience
Alex,
member.
I think you could pretty much stay in Florida. We got this all. We got it all handled.
Yeah,
here.
don't worry about
No
it.
need
If
for
you're
you.
scared to fly back or anything. Don't break your collarbone
Christmas
again.
cookies that everybody sent you already, so there's no reason to come back.
Still one for me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Everyone, go be amazing.
And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, because we're there, right?
This is going to go out the week of
I hope you all had a
next
great...
week. So it's hope you had a Merry
New Year.
Christmas and
Merry New Year.
have a Happy New Year and a Merry New Year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.